What if the Lorax was a creepy little monster? Well, I grabbed my friend Hugo and we're each gonna make our own horror poster for you guys to vote on at the end. For my poster, I wanna make the Lorax super creepy and uncanny. So first, let's just draw a little oval for the body and then color it in. Next, I'll draw a shape on the bottom left to be a leg and then draw another one on the opposite side for the other leg. Now let's add an arm on the left as well as some fingers. The angle of the arm is a little bit weird, so I'll adjust that a bit before copying the end of the hand and drawing in a new arm for it for the other arm. I'm also going to draw some feet at the bottom and then make them more pointy like the original Lorax. But now I think this looks pretty bad. But in like a good way, I guess. It's absolutely cursed, and I love it. So let's go over the body with a few different colored hair brushes to make the body look more hairy, like the Lorax is. But I'm also going to use a fur brush on the outside of the body to make it look even more hairy.
Hey, I'm Hugo and I make videos about graphic design. For my horror poster, I'm turning the Onceler into the real villain. And there will be no happy ending, just a total destruction of the forest and everything inside of it. I'll start by cutting out the Onceler chopping down the tree and flipping him for the composition. But he needs a proper environment, so I'm bringing in his factory in the background. It's still very empty, so let's speed things up. I'm cutting out a bunch of hills, stitching them together, and shifting this whole scene into nighttime.
While you were watching Hugo, I was adding shadows onto the body, which I think helps it look a little bit better. But I've added some eyes, so I'm gonna go around the edges with some shadows and then add some highlights and some more shadows. After that, I'll blend the non-eye parts into the hairy part of the body and put some shadows onto the actual eyes. Now let's add the Lorax's iconic mustache and adjust the angle to actually fit the face. I'll duplicate that layer and make it a shadow before adding a foggy background and removing the sky part. Next, I'll add a new sky to the background and kind of fade them together. And then I'll just add some tree stumps around the image. I'll fade out the bottom of the stumps and then add some haze over them, and after finishing that, I drew in some shadows for the stumps, but that's kind of boring, so after that I added some fog onto everything that was behind the Lorax.
Time to build the foreground. I'll cut out the tree from the same image as the Onceler and give both of them a nice color grade so that they match the scene. But we're still missing a sky, so let's fix that before I drop in the second half of the tree he's chopping down. And the factory looks a little too lifeless, so let's pump some dark smoke into the sky, really selling the idea that this world is doomed.
Earlier, I forgot to add the eyebrows and the mouth to the Lorax, so I'll just add his eyebrows, but on the opposite eyes, so he looks mad, and then I'll just add a drop shadow. Let's draw a shape for the mouth, which looks pretty good, but I'll add an outer bevel to make it look even better. Next, I'll just add some red near the back, and then draw some nice fangs at the top. Let's make those fangs a little bit more sharp before adding some more teeth at the bottom and filling those in. But let's not forget to make all those teeth sharp as well. And once I'm done with that, you already know I'm gonna add some blood onto those teeth, so let's do it. Let's also add some dripping blood coming from the mouth and use Blend If to adjust the look of it. Now I've added this skull in the Lorax's hand, so let's remove these fingers at the end of the hand and put the fingers onto the skull so it looks like he's grabbing it. I'm also going to add an exposure layer to darken up some parts of the skull that would be more dark, as well as some shadows onto the Lorax's hand. I'll add some nice blood spatter onto the skull before removing the blood on the inside part, and then adding some more blood onto the skull and the Lorax's hand as well. Let's give the Lorax an axe and then just adjust the fingers to make it look like he's holding it. I'll go around the axe and remove the shadows that came with the image and then make it a little bit darker with some shadows from the hands. Let's put a little bit of blood onto the end of that axe and then adjust the color of the Lorax and everything he's holding.
Now for the best part, highlights and shadows. But wait, look at this, it's super flat. So let's fix it with a little tree stump. That looks way better. I'll also play with the camera filter. And I know it's a bit early, but I want to make sure the lighting holds up with the final color grade. For the final touches, I fixed this part of the sky that was way too bright, and then made the foreground darker to give more separation. Finally, I added a title, but it's a little hard to read, so let me get rid of these bright spots. And that's it for me.
Alright, let's finish up this poster by adding some shadows onto the ground coming from the Lorax, with some more shadows on his right side and on his feet. But next, I'm going to go around the Lorax and add some highlights. I also added some highlights and shadows onto the tree stumps in the background, but now let's work on the title. And for this poster, I wanted to try something new, so I opened up Blender and added some text before moving the camera and text to the same angle as the poster. I'll extrude the text so it's not flat and then change it to say Lorax. Next, I changed the font to the same one from the actual poster. I added a sun and tried to place it where it was in the poster. When that was done, I messed with the shaders to get a nice texture on the text. And when that finally looked good, I rendered the image and added it to the poster. I'll adjust the color a little bit, but finally, let's add a camera raw filter to really bring this cursed image to life. So now that both of our posters are done, I'm going to show them to you, and you gotta let us know which is better in the comments. So here are the posters. Personally, I think Hugo's is a little bit more professional, while mine is maybe a little bit more creepy. Let us know in the comments which poster you think is better and why. But don't forget to check out Hugo's channel and subscribe for more videos.